Talking about the high-low lineup for Brazil. There's one of them, Gabriel Feitosa, the number 7. The other one to look out for them, Julio Braz, number 11. So 2 3.5 pointers and a couple of 0.5s. Lucas Couto and Gilson Diaz will be out there. For Canada, we have Rio Kandakovac in the glasses. We have Eric Rodriguez in glasses as well. Matt DeBlee is out there and Cody Caldwell. So a balanced lineup for them. 3, 2, 5, 2 and 0.5. So very balanced for them. Canada, it's Brazil who get the first points on the board. Brazil obviously in their familiar yellow, Canada in their more familiar red. Caldwell gets the ball over to Matt DeBlee. 3-pointer, he's going to be their main outlet at the moment. He's the one with the most function for the Canadians. And Rio Kandakovac, who's only a 2.5, but he's got great function, great mobility, good push.
Yeah, he's got a lot of core strength, similar to Park, as we've given great raps to over the days. And yeah, you'll see Rio possesses the same kind of mobility that somebody like an athlete like Park does.
So at the moment, we've got Brazil very much with their high-low and Canada with a more balanced lineup. How do you attack and defend when you're again, it's not 2 3-5s against 2.5s on both teams or balanced on both teams. How do you attack and defend when you're in a different lineup, a different style of lineup from the opposition?
Yeah, it can be very difficult. Canada will look to spread the court with 3 ball carriers, and sometimes that can be very difficult if you're the Brazilian, 2 low-point Brazilian players aren't able to tie up one of the 3 ball carriers. If they're able to achieve that, you'll start to see a lot of success. But if the 2 low-point players for Brazil aren't able to do that, you'll start to see Canada just scoring very easily. And now that'll require Brazil to either work out a way whether they set up a zone defense or continue to try and go with trying to tie somebody up. But as you can see here, the last couple of plays, the Brazilian team haven't been able to tie anyone up, and the Canadian team is scoring quite easily.
3-3 at the moment, nothing to choose between them. Down to Riley on the sidelines.
Yeah, hey guys, I just heard you talking about Rio and how phenomenal he is with the core strength. He's been a massive improver over the last few years. Someone definitely to look out for. What I'm watching him do in this game, he's not doing it quite right now in this play, but he's been actually playing defense on offense. So what Brazil's trying to do is they've got their 0.5. Lucas trying to baseline trap Cody Caldwell from Canada, who's a 2-pointer, trying to create a mismatch there. And he's been defending Lucas, the 0.5 out from Brazil, while trying to get the ball. So very smart from the Canadians, and I think that could be something that will give Canada the edge in this game, is the experience and the smarts, just those little things.
Thank you for that, Riley. And Rio Kandakovac was the one on the ball just there, the number 1. Cody Caldwell has it now. Down into single figures on the shot clock. You can see the shot clock to the left of the screen just as Matt DeBlee takes a tumble. And I think referee Tasmin Haynes has said no try.
Yeah, she's calling for a fallen player. She must have deemed that the hit was legal and in front of the axle. We'll might be able to get a better look here. It was very square on the chair. It's hard to see a lot wrong with that. So, yeah, good call from Tasman there. And yeah, it's early turnover in Brazil's ball from the corner.
First turnover of the match so far. There have been quite a few tweaks to the rules to encourage more turnovers. You don't want one team scoring and then the next scoring straight after that every 30 seconds. 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. You like it's the equivalent of a break of serve in tennis, and that's what we like to see here. One of the new rules is, well, you've always had to get the ball over the halfway line within 12 seconds, but there are no player timeouts if you get stuck and can't get over the halfway line. You used to be able to take a player timeout, 4 of them to be used throughout the match, as Feitosa takes his time and makes sure that his teammates are set up to defend. As soon as you score, you're off offense and back on defense. So you have to make sure you're ready to defend straight away. So no player timeouts anymore. Caldwell knows he won't have the speed to out-push Feitosa, so gets it over the line in a different way to Matt Deblee. Matt Deblee to, and we've been talking about Rio Kandakovac. Brazil with the early advantage, though. And there's the other high pointer firing his way through, Braz. And it's such an advantage when you've got the two high pointers, one who can throw out a long pass, the other one who can push onto the end of it.
Yeah, they make it look very easy, but it's a lot of talent and a lot of skill. It appears like they're not doing it so easily, but yeah.
They've been practicing it for years. They've been working on it, on their strength as well, their push, their acceleration. There is the Brazilian coach whom we've been talking about, the Canadian-Brazilian coach, Benoit Labrec, the coach from Quebec. Originally coached Canada and then Sweden.
We should get Riley to see if we can get Terry Vinyard and Joe Swords back and get the old rivalries going.
Legendary coaches from back in the day. We're seeing a lot of players now moving into coaching, and also we're seeing coaches moving all around the world to coach. So Benoit Labrec has coached 3 different countries now. We're getting the likes of Adam Scaturo, the US international, who is now coaching Great Britain. Bob Vanacker, who's gone from France to the Netherlands now, and we'll see him in the final later on. It's interesting now that you are getting coaches moving around the world.
Yeah, the opportunity to coach in your own country can be very, very limited. You look at a lot of the coaches, when they get the job, they're very good coaches, and rightly so. They stay in the job for quite some time. So if you want to coach at the highest level, you may have to leave. You may have to put your hand up and be willing to coach another country. We've seen it also with Kevin Orr leaving, Jason Rieger going over to Denmark, and yeah, it becomes a job. We'd all love to coach our own country and succeed with and help our own country, but yeah, we're also motivated. We're motivated to win and test ourselves, and if those opportunities don't come, you have to look elsewhere.
So if I'm reading that correctly, we can see you as the coach of the Wheel Blacks quite soon over in New Zealand, or?
Oh, look, I'd love to coach at the highest level. It's just, yeah, the commitment and time that these guys put in is not something that I'm able to achieve at the moment. But yeah, it would be fantastic, wouldn't it, to be able to coach a team at a Paralympic level and yeah.
Brazil with their noses in front. They got that turnover, just the one, and that was when it was a big hit by Feitosa on Matt Deblee. Just as Deblee was going over the line, it was a legitimate hit, square on. You're allowed to hit opponents front on or in front of the axle on the wheel, the little hole in the middle of the wheel. Behind that hole, the axle, then you're going to spin your opponent round and bring them to the ground. And much as we like physical play, it's got to be legal. And are Canada going to keep this from going over the halfway line? They're not. You can see the referee going over and back with his arm. So that's Canada having brought the ball up and then taking it back over the halfway line, and that's another turnover for Brazil.
Yeah, so while the ball had already been advanced in the front court, when he tried to tap it back, his chair was in the back court, which resulted in an over and back call. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. You can see Canada trying to bring Fabian in and Codwell and Eric, and yeah, I think they have the ability still to yeah, turn this around, and it's still very early on, but It's hard when you lose a lead so early.
Riley Batt on the sidelines, what have you got for us?
Yeah, I just didn't know if you guys missed me already, so I wanted to have a quick little word again. What I'm seeing right now, obviously, is that energy from Brazil. We've talked about it all week. They come out hot, they come out steaming, and I'd really love that energy from Brazil. It's the passion. You know, we know how the Brazilians are with soccer, or football as they call it. They love that passion, and they're coming out right now with some passion. I feel like Trevor Hirschfield, who's the new coach, obviously, of Canada, he's got a lot of trust in his players here. In my opinion, he's put probably a little bit too much trust in some of these players. He's put a very balanced lineup against a very high-low lineup of Brazil. So they haven't really got a ball handler out there on the court there. They've sort of got 4 ball handlers. However, I've just seen them sub in some more function in the box. So look for Canada to bring some more function in, meaning they can hold that ball more, have a little bit more safety, and potentially chip away at a few goals to get back in this game with Brazil.
Riley, we've been talking about foreign coaches because we've obviously got Benoit Lebrec and then others like Adam Scaturo, Kevin Orr going around the world coaching different countries. Pick a country. Which country would you like to coach? Obviously, Brad Duberly's in charge in Australia, so the job isn't up for grabs there. Which country would you go for?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot like that, are you?
Where would you like to live, I suppose?
First of all, I don't know if I'd be able to coach after last night, sitting on the sideline, not being in control on the court. Ryan, I'm sure you've been used to it over many years now, and you've got used to it, but I'm sure it's still hard. And I found it extremely hard to be sitting on the sideline. As much as I was behind the Australian bench, trying to personally coach some of the players and I guess mentor them, I did enjoy it. However, as Ryan mentioned before, there's a lot of time and commitment, time away from your family. However, it would be a privilege to be able to coach anywhere in the world. But look, I'm going to say I do love Japanese food, so that might put me over the line there.
Okay, there we go. You heard it here first. Excellent. Riley Batt, future Japan coach. I like the sound of that.
If we've still got Riley on there, mate, are you looking forward to seeing Fabian come on and race against some of these 3-5s?
Bit of an inside joke there, I think, Ryan. Fabian, who's about to come on, one of the fastest three-pointers in the world, and he definitely let you know he was one of the fastest three-pointers in the world. And I think I'm not his favourite player because I used to always bait him up the court and let him race me, and then the last minute put a little bit more speed on and try to put him in a cone. So, yeah, hopefully he's learnt from those many of times, and I'm hoping he doesn't try to race Feitosa, because Feitosa, in my opinion, is one of the fastest players in the world, as we just saw then, chasing down Rio. So let's hope he's learnt over many years of playing not to try to push a 3-5 to that cone.
Thank you for that, Riley. So, talking about substitutions, Canada have got various players ready in the substitution box. You can bring players on as long as they're in the substitution box. Well, Feitosa, there's the substitution box, but they're stuck. Those players can't get on. Feitosa stealing the ball from Rio Kandakovac and going over the line, and it needs a dead ball. So not just after a try is scored for substitutions to come on. You can see players there waiting in the box, 3 of them for Canada, one of them Fabien Lavoie, the three-pointer that Riley and Ryan have been talking about. They're desperate to come on, but must be incredibly frustrating when you've been sitting in the box for 2 or 3 minutes going, let me on, and there's no dead ball.
Yeah, and obviously you want to get on and make a difference, but we're seeing a lot of the coaching coaches saving their timeouts to advance this ball. I've not seen many of them use their timeouts to bring a sub in. It could be an opportunity where they, and now they've done it, yeah.
They've done it because we're in the final minute.
Yeah, but they could also use their timeout and bring in those subs.
Yes, so coaches' timeouts can be used, and one's being taken now. The players are having a quick break, so we're going to have one as well. Coach's timeout taken by Canada, and we're in the final minute, so it means they can advance the ball to that new line there that's opposite it's parallel with the substitution box, so you can advance the ball all the way up the court and score more quickly, more easily, is the theory. So they've got it to within 3 points, and
I think that should be a Canada ball, really, but the referee was behind. I don't think they could see that it actually bounced off the chair of Braz.
Lucky one there for Brazil. Can Braz get the ball over the halfway line within 12 seconds? Looks like he's going to all on his own. And that's the advantage of the three-pointers. So again, Canada going to take another timeout to advance the ball. The answer is no. 25 seconds to go. I think what they'd like to do, force points down, is get the last score, but they've conceded another turnover. Beautiful reach from Braz. And that's them 5 points clear. Referee counting down, and another inbound goes loose. And this is disastrous for Canada, and it's absolutely just what the doctor ordered for Brazil. So another coach's timeout. Sounds like it's been taken just in a desperate attempt to get out of having to inbound from behind the baseline where they've given it away twice.
Yeah, you can see there's a big disagreement between Caldwell and Rodriguez there. You could see Caldwell thought that he should have caught the ball and then and passed it back, and I think Rodriguez was just trying to tap it on, but the pass was out of range there, and yeah, you can both see they're a bit frustrated with that outcome. But you're right, they need to settle down, and I think they're once again, you know, they're probably playing similar to what they did on the first day. They're a much better team than this, and it's very little things that are costing them. Inbounds, passes, bounces.
They've used another coach's timeout. Is it going to get them a point? The answer is no. Rio Kandakovac bounces the ball away in despair. They didn't get over the line in time. Brazil lead it 18-12 at the first break.
Life's busy, so eating well should be easy. That's why I love Light and Easy. With a huge range of ready-to-eat healthy meals from around $8.50 each, there's no prep, no stress, just great food that keeps me going. And if you're an NDIS participant with meal prep and delivery in your plan, you may only need to pay 30% of the cost for your meals. And with so many flexible, affordable options every single week and no locking contracts, I can order what I want when I want it. Healthy living made easy? Yeah, that's Light and Easy.
Got it. Piggles. Sir Squeaks a lot. Bruce.
Bruce. With all the latest tech, make bigger things happen.
To get into the team was absolutely incredible. I've been wanting to be part of the Steelers team for a long time now. Your plan partners really helps with everything in my day-to-day life. Managing all their invoices and stuff like that can be a bit of a daunting task at times, whereas Plan Partners really helps out. The Plan Partners dashboard is really simple to use. I just submit the invoices and they're paid. I'm ready for the game, I'm ready for the day. Together, it's possible.
Disastrous first quarter for Canada. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, and it looks like they're going for a completely different lineup now this time around for the second quarter. We can see Austin McClellan out there, the young 3.5 pointer. Travis Moran, Melanie Labelle is there, a 1 pointer, and female and non-binary players from 0.5 to 1.5 classification, they give you an extra 0.5 out there. So that enables them to play the 3.5 pointer. Anthony Letourneau is out there as well, and he goes over the line. So at least they've got the first score of the second quarter.
Yeah, well, this is the Brazil that I guess we've all been expecting to see over the entire weekend. But, you know, let's hope we can see them continue it for the whole 4 quarters. We'd love for Canada to come back into it and give us a game, but I think this is what we've all expected to see from Brazil.
In the group stages, it was their first group game, Brazil and Canada. Obviously, 6 international teams here. Everybody played everyone else, round robin. Everyone had 5 games, and Brazil and Canada faced one another on day 1, and Brazil got the better of it 58-53. And I think looking at that first match, when you and I were watching it, Ryan, you're thinking, well, Australia ought to be guaranteed to get through to the final, and Brazil and Canada probably between them to be best of the rest. And we saw how well Brazil did and thought, well, okay, it should be an Australia-Brazil final.
Yeah.
But they've been really Jekyll and Hyde, haven't they?
Yeah, I honestly, I actually thought they would beat Australia. You know, I looked at
That's
the
un-Australian, that is, Ryan. You can't say that.
Just purely from that tactical and thing, I thought that this was their opportunity to beat Australia this weekend. And yeah, obviously I'm extremely proud of Australia for what they've done. But just looking at this Brazilian team and seeing them at the qualifications and knowing that Benoit's been working with them for so long, I expected to see an even better Brazil. And yeah, I've seen it in patches, but I haven't seen it consistently enough.
Brazil trying to barge their way through. They've still got 20 seconds left on the shot clock, and that's... They need only another couple of seconds to get over and restore the... It's a 7-point lead that they've got now. Down to Riley on the sidelines. Riley, you enjoying watching a couple of 3-5s absolutely rule the roost?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a little bit of FOMO right now, but I just wanted to just have a word. As much as, Ryan, that was un-Australian of you saying that in the commentary, I do sort of agree with you right there. I think Brazil has so much potential there, and they've obviously got so much smarts there, and I wouldn't have been shocked last night if they did put it to Australia. But what I know has happened to Brazil because of last night is I had the coach Benoit come up to me after that game and said, we're getting closer. And for them, they got confidence out of how close the game was last night against, you know, an Australian team who's number 2 in the world. That's momentum for them, that's confidence. So they've obviously come into this game with a lot more confidence, a lot more belief, and it's showing right now. I don't think any of us saw Brazil being up by 6 in the second quarter against such an amazing team.
And they were incredibly close to Australia yesterday, 29 all at the half. And then we had at the end of the third quarter, there was the little bit that was replayed, and they got it back to within 2 points. So they really pushed Australia close for 3 of the 4 quarters, didn't they, Riley?
Yeah, they absolutely did. They really put it to the Australians. And look, Australia pulled it away with 3 or 4 points at the start of that first quarter. And Brazil, I thought, was going to be down and out. I thought Coach Benoit might have ran some bench, given up a little bit, but they fought hard. They brought it back. I think it was half time or 3/4 time it was drawn, and Australia really had to dig deep. We saw the work from everyone on the team. Everyone played their part, and I think Big Red, we call him Zinger, Braden. He had one of the games of his life and really put it to the Brazilians. And I'm really hoping he can come out with some more confidence this afternoon against an informed Netherlands team and to show the world what he's got and why he's on the Australian side.
Well, he would have been expecting to play a little bit less because AJ Holloway came on and then after 8 seconds had that huge hit against him from Feitosa. As we see Feitosa laying a huge hit on Anthony Letourneau. So Zinger, as you call him, he ended up playing a lot more, and you could see that the confidence was there from him and the confidence also from the bench to leave him out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as we don't like having losses, I think having a loss in the pool match against the Netherlands was a bit of awakening for some players on the team. I feel like this team needs to earn these wins. They've had it, I guess, lucky for so long where we've had such a dominant, I guess, A-grade side where they've come on when we've been up by, you know, a certain amount of points, and they've actually had to earn these wins this time. And I feel like this is development, this is learning, and I'm as much as it's sort of un-Australian to say it, I'm sort of glad they had that loss, because look at the momentum shift since they had that loss against the Netherlands. Against the Netherlands, they coughed up 28 turnovers. That's 28 errors. And in this game of wheelchair rugby at an international level, if you cough up 28 errors, you're usually losing by about 20 points. So to go to overtime against the Netherlands and coughing up 28 errors, they've got a lot of improvement to do. And if I was the coach today to coach against the Netherlands, I would just be saying to the Australian team, it's pretty simple. Let's just make less errors, and and they'll win the game. So let's see if the Australians can just make some less errors today. Even if you have 10 errors, I think they'll win the game by 5 to 10 points.
Yeah, Riley, I think with the rule changes, obviously this has created a lot more errors. We've seen it not only from the Australian team, but from all of the teams across the weekend, and I guess that's what it was brought in for. Do you see teams just adapting and learning how to play to these new rules, and we start to see a clean game, or do you just think that this is going to be rugby now, that the opportunities are going to be there more often, and like you said, you just got to learn from them and try and reduce them as much as possible?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Ryan. And looking back, I'm going to go back to throwing it back to 2008 right now. Ryan, both of us were playing on the Australian side together. They put a rule in where they changed the half court time. So it's now 12 seconds to get over half. At the time, it was 15. And as players, we're going, how are we going to get over this, this half line in 12 seconds? It's going to be so hard. It's going to be so many turnovers. And look how we've adapted. You look at the Paralympics, the semi-final, I think Australia versus Japan, I think there was 4 errors each. We've adapted and we learned how to limit the errors. So I feel like this is a bit of a feeling out year with all the rule changes, no timeouts, advancing the ball for coaches' timeouts, 8-second dribble, 8-second inbound. I feel like teams are going to adapt, and yes, there's a lot of errors right now, but there's going to be fewer. There's obviously going to be more errors during a game, but I think there'll be fewer than we're seeing at this tournament.
Yeah, there's probably only 2 players at the moment at this tournament that have actually been through a transition of rule changes. Fabian and Shimakawa have been playing during a time of rule changes, and these players have never seen rule changes in their careers. So for a lot of them, it might have been a big shock. But yeah, for us that have been around, you do just think that eventually you adapt, and it just becomes rugby, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And being on the Australian team for so long, we look at all the errors, we look at the turnovers per game, and we have a set amount that we want to try to keep under. And if you've had 7 turnovers in the game, it's usually a pretty good game. It's a pretty good game, and you can usually beat most teams in the world with only 7 errors. Sometimes you can only do 4. However, we're obviously going to see more errors, so I'm not sure what that target's going to be these days. It could be 10, but definitely not 28. So I think of the Australian team afternoon against the Netherlands and tries to, maybe 10 errors or under, I think they can definitely win that game. And I feel that we got 20 turnovers off the Netherlands side in the pool game, and 20 errors against any team, you should be beating them. So they've got to capitalise on those mistakes, limit their errors, and they will hopefully be coming home with some silverware, or goldware, I should say.
Goldware indeed. Thank you, Riley. Getting back to who's going to be wearing the bronze. Canada 8 points adrift. We saw some good handling. They've gone back to the well, so they've gone back to their original starting lineup. Rodriguez, the low pointer. Kanda Kovac, mid-pointer. Matt DeBlee there trying to with Gabriel Feitosa, and Cody Caldwell is out there. So it's one of those where they're spreading the love across a 3-5, 2-5-2 and a 0.5. So 3 good ball handlers out there, plus the low pointer. But at the moment, they haven't really got any answers. They've been tried all sorts of lineups to counteract Brazil, but Brazil with their high-low, and you've got a couple of high pointers who are doing their jobs well, plus the low pointers trying to keep tabs, as we see here, on their opposite numbers, then it's almost impossible to play against.
Yeah, those Brazilian low pointers are phenomenal. They're up there with any any 0.5s in the world. They're absolutely incredible players. And you know, I know a lot of focus goes on the two main 3-5 players, but yeah, they really make these guys' jobs so much easier. They're a real joy to watch, the low pointers. They're inbounding, they're defending, they're getting their picks and blocks in, and if you do watch them playing in the background, yeah, you really appreciate what they do.
Low pointers there. Number 2 with the inbound, Lucas Couto. Number 1, Gilson Diaz. And you see them, it is easy to have your eyes drawn to the high pointers, 11 and 7, Braz and Feitosa. But the work being done by the low pointers, 1 and 2, Couto and Diaz, is not to be underestimated. Making it difficult for the Canadians to get over the halfway line, and they managed to do that, and the outlet is there in Travis Mouraun. So more changes again for Canada. Trevor Hirschfield, it's as if he keeps sort of shuffling the pack and throwing more out. I mean, obviously he's not doing it randomly, but he seems to be changing more often than not in a desperate attempt, and they're 8 points down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very common for Canada. We've played them in the past where they consistently changed every 4 minutes, and it made it very difficult, I know, to think of a game plan, because you'd come up with something and then 4 minutes later there was a whole new lineup and you had to think again. And
who am I watching? Who am I meant to be keeping tabs on? And it's a different person.
And the energy shift, they had 4 new guys coming out with more energy, ready to go again. It was just constantly in your face. And while we're talking here, there was a huge hit from Fabian and Patrice on Feitosa, and yeah, get that turnover.
So he got rid of the ball, Feitosa, before he hit the ground, but he's been called for... no, he's got rid of the ball, and they're going to have the inbound, so no foul called. And a good inbound it is. And I think, well, as Fabien...
It must have been called a spinning foul. Yeah, Patrice Simard's been put in the penalty box.
So Braz taking his time. You might be wondering why he's taking his time. He's making sure that his little countdown Jeopardy music from the stadium announcer, nice and ironic. I don't think he's going to take the full 30 seconds. He's not far off. You can see the shot clock going down to 3, and he's making sure that one of his, there's the 2 low pointers, and one of his high pointers was setting a trap on the player, Patrice Simard, who was in the penalty box. So Simard, the only way he could get out was by saying, please let me inbound, and by having, oh, there's another spinning foul, this time by Braz. So quite a physical game here.
And we can see Fabian there racing, and he didn't want any of that handshake from Braz just then. The fiery character, and maybe it was the high five after that upset him.
He's going to be upset by the scoreboard. 29-20. 9 points adrift with 2 minutes to go in the first half. You don't want to be more than around 6 points adrift. Having said that, these are 2 evenly matched teams, and you need to tell yourself, well, if they can rack up a 9-point lead against us, then we can do the same against them. It's not as if we're playing number 1 in the world and we're number 1. We're evenly matched. We're actually a higher ranked team than Brazil. If they can do it to us, we can do it to them.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting. It's going to be a massive task, and it's whether Benoit can, what his plan from here is, whether he allows them to bring out more energy, whether he goes a little bit more tactical and drops them back to the key to kill the game off. But it'll be a difficult one, because you don't really want to take away their energy and take away their momentum. You want to encourage it, but it's whether they've got the fitness to do that.
The last match of the tournament for them, so it's dig deep. You've got 16 minutes to go. As you say, maybe key defense where you sit back you can have a breather for 5 seconds, and it also takes another 5 seconds off the clock, as opposed to the press that they're coming up with here to try to prevent Canada from getting the ball over the halfway line. And then when they get the ball over the halfway line, the pass isn't the best, and it causes a turnover. Fabien Lavoie not happy.
Fabian there realised that they were in a bit of trouble there. He couldn't get a pass out, so he turns his chair hoping that they will call a fallen player to allow him to get a full reset. I think that's what he was thinking, or unless...
He did. He turned his chair, so there was a Brazilian player down, and if the Canadian player, if Canada then make direct progress towards the try line, then play can continue. And Fabien, as you say, well spotted there, moved his chair around to say, well, I'm not going straight to the try line, so we've got to start again.
Yeah, and clearly Braz was in danger of being hit there, so yeah. Smart play.
Another turnover, and this is where we're seeing the lack of player timeouts. It's only coaches' timeouts now, and players used to be able to take timeouts in mid-play if they thought they weren't going to get over the halfway line within 12 seconds, or if they were going to ground in possession of the ball, or also to give themselves an extra 15 seconds if they thought they weren't going to be able to score. .8 seconds to go. You can hear the hooter, and that will have been Trevor Hirschfield calling a coach's timeout to enable them to inbound the ball at the three-quarter line. Up they go. There's the new line on the court, parallel with the substitution box at that end of the court. Canada desperate to get the deficit to single figures. They're 31-21 down. They want the last possession of the quarter. They want the last score. They need to score is the main thing. And that is out of reach of Rio Kanda-Kovac, and nothing is going right for the team in red.
Their body language is just dejected, aren't they? It's just not working out for them, and it's very, like as you mentioned earlier, it's very similar to day one, where things that we normally expect just to be reliable from Canada with passing and catches is just not falling for them.
So the hooter went, and that enabled Brazil to take a coach's timeout inbound from close and get the final score, and they are 11 clear at the half. Brazil leading their North American rivals 32-21. Coach Benoit Lebrec alongside him, the lady he's got alongside him, that's his translator, so he tends to talk English in general to the players when he's shouting instructions as play goes on, but she's there to explain all of the ins and outs and all the tactical things that he wants to convey to his players, and his tactics certainly came off in the first half. That was dominant from Brazil.
Yeah, and then this is, as we said, this is something that we've expected from Brazil, and it's something I expected from Benoit too. From an outside point of view, I've always thought he was a great coach, and seeing what he's done with other teams and appreciated the technical side of his game. So I think he's got a very functional team in Brazil, and now he's able to try and piece that together with function and tactics. So, yeah, the general game plan he'll be able to thread, relay to his players. But you're right, when it gets down to that technical stuff, the translator's definitely going to have her work cut out and be earning her money.
Indeed, the interpreter that he's got there. But they are interpreting his instructions very well. Brazil leading Canada 32-21 at half-time. The players are having a break. We're going to have a break as well, and we will be back in a couple of minutes' time.
At Chartercare Services, we're proud to be supporting the incredible athletes at the World Wheelchair Rugby Championship and the wider disability community across Australia. Whether it's the right mobility aid, safe transport, or an experience on the water, we make accessibility easy. Chartercare Services, proud sponsor of Possibility.
At Degnan, we don't just build infrastructure, we build possibilities. We work collaboratively to bring excellence, innovation and diversity. Projects that connect people and shape the future. Together, we create a lasting impact for generations to come. Degnan, building tomorrow together.
Half-time in the bronze medal match at the 2025 Santos Wheelchair Rugby World Challenge. Brazil leading it by 11 points. They look shoo-ins for the bronze. It's the Wheelchair Rugby World Challenge, and a lot of the reason why we have that is the hard work put in by Wheelchair Rugby Australia, who've taken over the Steelers team, that's taken them under their wing. And Riley, you're there with the CEO of Wheelchair Rugby Australia, Chris Ney. He's my boss at the moment, so please tell him that I'm doing a good job, and then I'll let you have a conversation with him.
No worries, Drew. I'll put in a good word for you, but maybe not that Ryan Scott character. But it is an absolute honour to have, for me, Chris Ney, who's the CEO of Wheelchair Rugby Australia. Chris, mate, everyone is talking here. It's the talk of the town. Internationally, all the teams are talking about what an amazing tournament this has been. In my opinion, I'm not sure of the stats, but it's the biggest tournament I've seen in the Southern Hemisphere. How's it been for you?
It's been great. It's been a lot of work. I've got a really competent and incredible team underneath me that are doing a wonderful job sort of putting this on. But to see how the community's embraced it and the crowds in here over the weekend has just been phenomenal. It's almost societal change happening before our eyes right now in Australia, and it's something really special to be a part of.
I absolutely agree with that. And for the viewers at home, what they haven't seen is the juniors. I know I was coaching some of the juniors earlier, well, yesterday and today. There's about 12 juniors, and this is something that you've sort of created, a junior competition that we've never had. And it's absolutely incredible. How have you found that, and how's the future looking for, I guess, the Brisbane 32 Paralympic Games?
Yeah, it's awesome. Some of the ages might even extend to 36 or 40 at this point, given how young we've got athletes coming through the pipeline now. But yeah, again, really special to see that yesterday. First time in the history of our game, as I'm aware, that we've had junior competition with eligible athletes competing. And I guess for kids across Australia to see other quad-impaired kids, again, there's something that transcends sport in that, and it was a really special moment yesterday to see them take the court in our junior green, junior gold uniforms.
Absolutely, and just seeing the improvement from these kids was absolutely phenomenal, and it's so heartwarming, and I'm looking forward to seeing them come into the National League. And here I was thinking, Brisbane 32, you'd probably be trying to ask me to keep playing, but I'm looking at the future going, I would have to beg you and try to train as hard as I could to try to be playing for those Paralympic Games. Chris, the Australian Steelers, they're in the final against the Netherlands. I'm sure that's the box you want to tick. Home crowd here in Adelaide. How have you found the crowd down here in Adelaide, and how do you think the Steelers are going to go tonight against an in-form Netherlands team?
Yeah, it's awesome having the Steelers playing at home. It's also great to see them performing really well as well. Obviously in the final, that's what we wanted to see. Netherlands beat them in overtime in the pool matches, so it's going to make for a great final. We're just hopeful that the Adelaide community gets out and supports with their feet in these stands, because I think that could be the difference. It breaks the deadlock tonight and gets Australia home.
I absolutely agree, Chris, and we appreciate everything you've done for our sport, and we're looking forward to seeing these seats absolutely packed out tonight, cheering on the Aussies. And Drew, I think your job might be safe, but I'm not sure about that Ryan Scott character.
Thanks,
Okay,
Riley.
We'll try and put in a decent word for Ryan. Okay, Ryan, I'm the high pointer, you're the low
Yeah,
pointer.
that's it.
We come as a tandem, so it's all or nothing. We've restarted. Brazil have got more turnovers. They've got another couple of points. We saw a pass go astray from Canada, so it's not as if the half-time break's given them a chance to reset. They've come out and they've been making the same errors, and it's uncharacteristic for Canada.
Yeah, we spoke about it during the break. It's, you know, you may be missing a player like Zach Medalla, but it's the little fundamental things that we very rarely see from Canada. It's, you know, give and go off the inbound or a catch, a pass across the key. They're passes that normally stick for Canada, and it's something that we're not used to seeing. And look, I'm not sure where they are in terms of training camps and their season, and this could just be something that we won't ever see again. Yeah.
They're not going to want to see it again, so they've got the deficit back to 12, but 12 down so early in the second half. They've had a break, 5 minutes to reset. They were 11 down, and you think, okay, come out, get the score, get an early turnover, get some confidence, but they seem to have absolutely no answer, and there we go. The two high pointers go back for Brazil and leave Lucas Couto as an outlet, the low pointer. Good chair position. The pass was right into his lap. He got just enough momentum to get him over the line.
As we mentioned earlier, these .5s are exceptional .5s. Lucas there just showed exactly the chair position that you want to be in when you're going long and receiving a ball for a quick score. You don't want to be mucking around with your chair facing the wrong way or backwards or having to adjust the chair, and he executed that perfectly.
Good execution in the end from Matt Deblee. And you see here managing to corral the ball. It looked like it was going away from him. You can see Deblee and Rodriguez getting a handle on Braz, while Feitosa is getting a little bit more tape, as we see Coach Benoit Labrec and his interpreter alongside him. He's a very forthright person as well. He speaks his mind. He doesn't beat about the bush, does he?
Yeah, he's definitely entertaining. I remember back in the day, yeah, there were some heated battles. I know I've made a little bit of a joke about it before with our old coach Terry Vineyard and Joe Sawyers. There was yeah, some great heated battles, and it definitely brought an extra dimension to the game, having the coaches getting right into it and firing up, which was enjoyable.
Braz it is this time who goes the full 28 metres. It's the same size as a basketball court, and a lot of the rules are reasonably similar to basketball. Things like the over and back, that's like a backcourt violation. I thought we were going to see one there, and we have indeed. It's that was absolutely perfect timing. So going into the front court and then taking it back, if your chair also is right over the line, then that's when it gets a little bit dicey with the over and backs.
Yeah, you can see Braz got a great turnover there, but when he had the ball actually landed right on his lap, he was on the halfway line. So Cody just gave him just a little tap, and he rolled backwards, and that resulted in an over and back. And he had no outlet to give the ball to anybody.
And there they go. They get the ball straight back. The inbound there, the inbounds just aren't working today. But that's probably a result of the fact as Mourão goes over the line, and he's going to have to go to the penalty box. You can see the referee, Tasmin Haynes, saying no try. So there's no guaranteed try, and that means it's still a foul though. So Mourão goes to the penalty box. It'll be 4-on-3. It'll be 8-on-6 in terms of the classifications. But the inbound's not working, but a lot of that's the press, the swarming defense from the Brazilians.
Yeah, again, we've mentioned it earlier in the week. It'll be statistically, it'll be great to see how often teams in the past have actually had to inbound from a sideline. you know, when it's normally from the baseline. Riley talked about it, 28 turnovers in one game, and previously there were 4 on each side. So most of the inbounds were coming from the baseline, which is a completely different position to inbound from. In that situation, it was right near the halfway line, so it really restricts the space you had. But once again, we've seen a handling error from Canada, which we're not used to seeing.
14 points the difference. They are 2 touchdowns behind. Give and go on the inbound, and some good chest passes, bounce passes. And Kander Kovac is punted into the cones. Riley, it's all going wrong for Canada at the moment.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Canada's usually a very composed, very tactical team and pass the ball very well. However, I do give credit to the new coach, Trevor Hirschfield. He's running his whole bench out there, where we have Benoit, the coach from Brazil, running that #1 lineup like we saw against Australia last night. So look for some subs from Benoit. Hopefully he gets his bench on. He's got a huge lead right now. In my opinion, he's got to sort of look towards the World Championships next year. That's going to be hosted by Brazil in São Paulo. So they're going to need depth at that World Championships. You just cannot run that #1 lineup the whole time. You'll burn your athletes out. So as much as right now the scoreboard's favouring Brazil, next year at World Championships, who knows, this little tactical, I guess, move here with bench players from Canada coming on and no bench players from Brazil, who's it going to favour? I know who it's going to favour, but I'll let you guys decide.
I think you'll agree, Riley, a World Championships is actually harder to win than a Paralympics. With Paralympics, there's 8 teams, but at a World Champs, there's 12. So you've actually got a couple of extra games. Some days you may play 2 games in one day, so and that can take its toll. It's the team that wins World Championships usually has a good bit of depth in their team, and look, it could be anything as simple as a broken chair or an illness, and you're not able to play your #1 lineup. So, yeah, I'm sure you'd agree that the Brazilians really need to start to look to develop.
It's long, isn't
Absolutely,
it, Riley?
Ryan. I know that.
Yeah, I remember the World
Championship,
Championships, in 2022, and it was a long championships, and your shoulder was hanging by a thread towards the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we won't go back to that because it brings you a little bit of trauma. And I'm sure the viewers at home do not want to hear about me, who's I guess a washed-up has-been, never was.
You're a commentator,
but yeah, exactly. But I think. Like, it's awesome to see Brazil with the energy right now and playing amazing. However, I would love to see a great #2 lineup come on as well, just to give the likes of Julio Braz or Gabriel Feitosa, or even these amazing .5s just here, just a little bit of a break. And they're going to need that at World Champs. That 2 games a day at that level, as you said, Ryan, it takes it out of you. So, yes, I know this is confidence building right now, and they really want that 3rd place, but we've got to sometimes think about the long run too. And the 2 biggest comps on the calendar for us athletes, wheelchair rugby players, us Paralympians, is the Paralympic Games, what's held every 4 years, and the World Championships, what's held every 4 years. As I've said that, I'm seeing a bench move right now, so they must be listening to me. They're throwing another lineup out there, so that's great for Brazil.
Thank you for that, Riley. Yes, so Riley asks, Riley gets. We are actually going to see some changes out there. It is all well and good to, particularly since it's the last match of the tournament, and you think, okay, well, let's guarantee the bronze medal matches. And also, Riley will know this himself, Riley and Chris Bond always wanted to stay there, particularly Riley wanted to stay out for all 32 minutes. Zach Medalla was the same for Canada, but it looks like they are going to make some changes. They've got 2 things to look forward to, Brazil, the World Championships that Riley referred to, that are going to be held in August 2026, and there's also the Copa America, the American Championships, which will be a qualifying tournament for the World Championships. Brazil are obviously there as the host nation, but it will be an All-Americas Championship. It was the last time they had that was the Para-Pan Games that were held in Santiago in November 2023, where USA got the only qualifying spot for the Paralympics, because there are, as you say, Ryan, only 8 spots up for grabs at the Paralympics. And here there will be 12 spots up for grabs. 4 of them at the World Championships have already been allocated at the Euros, and that's France, Denmark, Team GB, and Germany. They've already got through. Brazil qualify as the hosts, and then you've got 2 teams that will get through from the Americas, a couple that will get through from Asia, Oceania. That's the region that includes Australia, New Zealand, Korea, and of course Japan. And then there will be a qualifying tournament for the best of the rest afterwards, with another 3 up for grabs. So Brazil will be hosting the Americas, as we see another handling error from Canada. Brazil got 2 tournaments hosting at the moment, and you can see that they've made changes. They've brought out, most notably, Havana Cruz, the number 14. She's a low pointer, 0.5, so she allows them an extra 0.5 out there at the moment. Still out there is Gabriel Feitosa, but you can see they've brought on Rafael Hoffman, mid-pointer, the number 8, and also Alexandra Keiji Taniguchi, the Brazilian import, sorry, the Japanese import that they've got playing for Brazil. He's spent most of his life down there, Taniguchi, so it's good to see them following Riley's advice and digging a little bit deeper to give these players some more experience.
Yeah, when you make these subs, you don't need them to come on to make a huge impact. You don't need them to get your 4 or 5 turners. At this stage, you just need to get them on there and go goal for goal. They've come on and they've got a turnover, and that's great. But, you know, this is what you need from your second and third lineups, is just some consistency, some rotation, give everybody a bit of a break. It also builds a better team culture, and everyone's contributing to the win, and everyone feels a part of the team. It's yeah, it's huge for that as well.
Austin McClellan out there for Canada, the 3-5. He's one of the new players, so new that he hasn't got his name, hasn't got the name on his jersey. He's out there at the moment. Melanie Labelle, I saw a little bit of her earlier, who had played previously, been out of the squad for a little while and is back in there now. And she's out there at the moment, and there we go. So there is a little bit of hope for Canada. They've forcing the odd turnover, getting a few points, but 17 points adrift. So they've forced the turnover. It's an awkward corner inbound, but Travis Moran, the 2-pointer, has got good trunk function, good at the inbound. Riley, more insights for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving this move from Trevor Hirschfield, getting young Austin, the 3-5, on the field. As you just mentioned, he hasn't even got his name on the back of the jersey. But what I see, he's just made a mistake, but that's new players for you. But what I'm seeing is a future, and I'm seeing a future alongside one of the best in the game, Zach Medalla, who's another 3-5 from Canada, who's sitting out this tournament. So Canada's obviously looking at the long game there, and they're looking at a potential another lineup, and they're getting some minutes into young Austin, and he's been really impressive. He's also wearing the number 3 jersey, which I love as well.
I can imagine that, yes, a 3-5 wearing the number 3 jersey is someone you'd like. It would give Canada the option. They've had Zach Medalla for so long, and he's been their sole real outlet, and they rarely play him with Matt Deblee, the 3-pointer. Maybe Fabien Lavoie's back as a 3-pointer, but it would give them the option to have to go really high-low, and they could have 2 3-5s and 2 0.5s, or even the 1-pointer in Melanie Labelle, who only counts as a 0.5.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's probably one of the things Canada's lacked in years gone past. They've been a phenomenal team, but I feel like they're just missing a little bit of that high point, let's say, trunk function player. We obviously have Zach, but he hasn't had another, I guess, Robin to the Batman there. So I feel that Austin could be a big change here for Canada. It could give them another fantastic lineup, and he's a big guy. He sits tall in his chair, and I feel like it'd give a little bit more depth to Canada. So let's keep an eye on him in the future, for him leading into next year's World Championships.
We will indeed. So Robin to the Batman. I suppose Riley's always been the Batman, so that makes Chris Bond the Robin.
Yeah, we spoke about it yesterday. I think Austin's going to really progress in the next few tournaments. We talked about the difference between he's come from basketball, so the difference between the weight in a basketball chair to a rugby chair, and he'll be getting used to that weight and pushing it around, and particularly for big minutes in a game. You know, he's going to progress a lot, and yeah, I look forward to seeing that and that combination. It'll be good to see.
Rugby chairs being heavier than basketball chairs because there's a lot more contact.
Yeah, exactly. And basketball chairs, you know, as you mentioned, while there is contact, it's not as much, and they also don't have those defensive picking chairs out there, so they don't need the protection and the extra bit of hardware around the bottom of their chairs. But yeah, as you indicated, that they want to be able to lift and maneuver and throw their chairs around. So yeah, you're talking about maybe a 12 kilo basketball chair compared to a 22 kilo rugby chair, and you know, that's a significant difference to be pushing around across the course of 32 minutes.
Something else to bear in mind when you're going all the way across the world. These teams from North and South America respectively, they're coming here and they'll travel in their regular chairs, and then each of them with 20 odd kilos worth of game chair going in the hold as well. You're bringing 12 or 14 players. It's
wheel bags, extra sets of wheels, tools, yeah, straps, belts, gloves, tape. There's all sorts of things, and yeah, it quickly adds up. So yeah,
yes,
there's a lot involved in travelling.
Plus the coaching staff, plus occasionally, a lot of the time, players with carers and their personal staff with them as well. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot of logistics and a lot of funding to get players to be able to travel around the world.
Yeah.
10 seconds to go, 9.5 to be exact in the third quarter. And there we go, you can see Benoit Labrec. He's told his interpreter what to say during this coach's timeout, and she's passing that on. Havana Cruz, the only female player they've got, a low pointer, and Melanie Labelle, who you can see, number 22, the only female pointer, female player that Canada has. Corner inbound, and you can hear them counting down in Portuguese. It's from 3-2, just about, and they get over the line, and it's 48-31. You hear the hooter going. That's Trevor Hirschfield taking his coach's timeout, not to discuss the X's and O's, but to say, get it up to the three-quarter line. And what's the plan going to be here? It's going to be a big inbound from Caldwell, and McClellan gets free. Riley Batt will like that. The number 3 gets free and scores a point.
So nice to see a three-pointer with number 3 with hair and no beard, but you know, maybe in 10-15 years you'll be bald with a beard.
At the three-quarter break, Brazil leading it 48-32 over Canada in the bronze medal match at the 2025 Santos Wheelchair Rugby World Challenge.
To get into the team was absolutely incredible. I've been wanting to be part of the Steelers team for time now. Your playing partners really helps with everything in my day-to-day life. Managing all their invoices and stuff like that can be a bit of a daunting task at times, whereas playing partners really helps out. The playing partners are really simple to use. I just submit the invoices and they're paid. I'm ready for the game, I'm ready for the day. Together, it's possible.
Suncorp is giving every home in Australia a voice. Even former league champion Jonathan Thurston's place.
Who you calling former?
Hi, it's good to finally chat. A home like me is a high risk for storms.
Suncorp Haven lets you hear from your home about its weather risks and how you can help make it stronger.
I better stop putting off this yard work.
Listen to your home now. Search Suncorp Haven.
(48-32), Brazil lead Canada. An American battle, South versus North, here at the 2025 Santos Wheelchair Rugby World Challenge. Not just the national champs this year, but a world challenge. And South America, North America, they've come all the way across the Pacific to be here in Adelaide. And it's South getting the better of North by a long margin. It's not something that we would have been expecting. Canada have run through all sorts of lineups. Brazil stuck more or less with the high-lows, and then they've got a new lineup out for this fourth quarter. Alexandre Giuriato, the three-pointer, is out there, and he's already been put to the penalty box by Tasmin Haynes. So it looks like Canada are going to get the first score of this fourth quarter, and Havana Cruz requires, you could see that she did the M for mechanic sign, pointing to her shoulders, so she's going to have to get a change of wheel. I'm going to throw down to Riley Batt, because at the end of the third quarter we were talking about the number 3 that you are highlighting, Riley Austin McClellan, and you probably heard, just as the credits were rolling, Ryan talking about the fact that there was a number 3, a high pointer, but with hair. So I think he was having a bit of a dig at you there, Riley.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate the camaraderie here. Rub it in, mate. I've got more on my chin, all right? It might be a lot greyer these days, but it's definitely more on my chin than young Austin.
So give him 15
I'm really
years,
loving
mate.
seeing... Yeah, exactly. Give him 15 years of stress and hard work playing wheelchair rugby. But look, what I'm loving is seeing Brazil. I feel like when I mention it, they've started to do it. They've thrown their bench on, and their bench has done a great job. I'm not sure why they weren't on earlier. Some big hits here on the sideline right next to me, courtside here. But, yeah, their bench has done a great job. And as you mentioned, Ryan, it's not about getting turnovers. It's about sometimes maintaining the lead and providing that stability. So, well done to the Brazilian bench. Well done to Coach Benoit getting this bench on. I think they could have come on a little bit earlier in this game. But he obviously wanted to get the confidence in that main lineup, leading into wherever their next tournament, or big tournament, might be.
So we can see plenty of changes there. They brought on Guilherme Figueiredo, who did feature during the group stages. 1.5 pointer. He did incredibly well there. The number 3 that you can just see on the right of your screen, picking up a long pass from one of his high pointers and managing to stay inside the... After he got that pass from Braz, they were trying to barge him out there. I think it was Letourneau, and see the big hits there by Letourneau as if on cue. That was an absolutely huge hit, full on, showing no mercy there. So Canada 15 points adrift. And there's the players that we were talking about, Guilherme Figueiredo and Anthony Letourneau, showing no quarter there.
I think he was a bit surprised there at how hard he could hit. I think he looked pretty composed that he was going to be able to handle it, and yeah, but he came in with a good hit there.
Rugby em cadeira de rodas. That is wheelchair rugby in Portuguese. Caldwell with the inbound from the side. He's almost almost a new skill that players are having to learn. Learning it on the fly. Let or no, over the halfway line. You can see he's got options left and right. Chooses the option on the right, Fabien Lavoie. So one of the players that's come on, Giuriato. And he falls foul of the extra defender that is the sideline.
You could see Cody was just baiting him into that, and yeah, he tried to race him down the sideline. Obviously thought he had the wheels, but Cody had that little bit extra that he was just holding back, and yeah, once he bit on it, Cody had all the advantage.
Lavoie over the top to Caldwell. Combination that worked well. They were last together at the World Cup that we were mentioning, the World Championship that we were mentioning earlier, that was in the west of Denmark in Vejle in October 2022. And the Steelers got gold. Braz ends up barging his own way through. And that's the half century up for Brazil. Long release pass for Anthony Letourneau. You see the swarming defense there, the press, with Brazil only having 12 seconds to get the ball over the halfway line and no players' timeouts anymore. And we end up going through the hands, and it goes from Figueiredo to Giuriato. So even the second string, as it were, giving a very good account of themselves. You were saying earlier, Ryan, that when different players come on, all you want to do, they're not chasing the game, they're 14 clear or 13 clear, and it's just go try for try. When you're out there at the end of the day, come off the court and go, well, we were in plus when I was on court, or they didn't eat into the lead, we just did our job.
Yeah, that's right. And look, they have come on at times, and in both substitutes have come in at different times and got one or two turnovers, so they've done an exceptional job. But even if they don't, you're happy with that. That's part of playing in a team. You're contributing to the team, and yeah, you don't need to build on that lead. That's just what you need from these guys, and they've done it. It's great to see, and this will build them confidence as well. They've come on and they know that they can come in and contribute to the win. We often discuss what feeling's worse is, not coming on and losing, or not being part of a winning team. And I think both can feel just as bad sometimes, because you didn't feel like you contributed or did anything to help the team. But this, like I said, will build a great team feeling and team bonding amongst them, that they're all part of the journey moving forward.
Yes, when you've maybe not got a whole lot of experience, then yes, you want to come on and go, I didn't. I matched the opposition. Didn't give any away. We were 3 up when I came on. We were still 3 up when I left. It's a bit like running a relay, and okay, I'm the first leg, and I know we've got sprinters in the third and the fourth leg, and they can take care of business as long as I'm not too far behind the pack. Yep. I'm giving my teammates a chance to do what they do best.
Yeah, and look, we've done it in the second quarter. We've brought on lineups, and we do have high expectations, and we want them to get turnovers. But at the end of the day, if they've come off and they've gone goal for goal, and we've been able to rest either a Riley or a Chris, or one of the 0.5s, it's that's a huge advantage for us to be able to bring them back out and create another impact. He's just going to back it in then.
I did think he was going to go over the line himself there, Guilherme Figueiredo, the number 3, and I don't think he realised how close he was to the line, and he's ended up gifting a try to one of his teammates. There's no I in team. But there is an eye in Travis, and Travis has an eye for the line there, and he does indeed roll over backwards, so it's up to 40 for Canada. Austin McClellan having a change of wheel there. Riley, I've just had an idea to get you involved. We're going to have New South Wales playing in the national final. So if you want to go out there as a mechanic.
No, absolutely not. Not when they're playing against Queensland. We saw Queensland earlier in the program putting some big hits on. There's some strong athletes in that Queensland side. So I'm sure there will be a lot of breaks in the New South Wales Gladiators chairs. So I'm definitely not equipped enough for that, mate. I would definitely not throw my resume out for a mechanic of a wheelchair rugby team. It's tough work, and they deserve so much credit, because I've had some games when I've been through 20-odd tyres and tubes, and they were just non-stop changing tyres, and yeah, my hands are a little bit too pretty and not strong enough to do all that stuff.
Yes, the changing the wheels is all well and good, because it takes about 30 seconds out on court, and then other ones repairing the tyres, going deep into the night to repair all of the tyres afterwards. So they are. It's a thankless task, but it's good to have the opportunity to thank them, because they do work tirelessly, the mechanics.
Yeah, they absolutely do. They're the people behind the scenes that you don't see doing all the work. Our mechanic for the Australian side, Blair Thompson, he was down here, I think, when I rocked up here this morning at 9 a.m, when the Australian team isn't playing until 2:15. He's going through, cleaning all the casters, checking everyone's chairs over, making sure there's not any cracks or whatnot that he has to weld up, just making sure everyone's equipment is right. And sometimes as an athlete, you don't even know he's checked over it, but you know, it's just something that we don't have to think about. It's a thankless job, I guess, and we're very appreciative to have such amazing mechanics representing Australia.
And Blair's probably the only person with a impressive beard than yours.
Yeah, he's definitely got that thing manicured. I think he might carry a comb inside that beard, I think, to make it so manicured, where mine is a little bit more rough and rugged, and there's a lot more greys in my beard. And I think the greys are there because I've had to carry Ryan Scott for so many years in wheelchair rugby.
Like an old married couple, you two.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've had to chime in because this might be my last sideline commentating for this tournament. So I've had to give a little bit of a stick to Ryan, because the amount he's given me over the years. So welcome back, Ryan.
Well, for years you've had to hear me tell people that you were good, but with my help you became the best. So, yeah, it's about time you got something back.
We had to drop some of the 8th century commentary. I love that, Ryan.
Thank you, Riley. Yes, a good 3.5 is only as good as the 0.5s that he's got with him.
Said that about the tireless jobs as well. We're obviously talking about the mechanics, but what people don't see is that the 0.5s out there, obviously they don't have the most function out there, the most speed. They're not doing the most of the ball. But as I try to describe to people sitting at home who don't understand wheelchair rugby, think of a chess game. This is going to sound quite funny, but I guess the players like myself or Chris Bond are like the queen, where we move around the most and have the most freedom. But the 0.5s are like the pawns in chess, and they're the real... they get down there, they're getting dirty, they're blocking, they're doing all the hard works, and you might not see a mistake from a 0.5 as much as you would a 3.5, but they do make mistakes out there, but they also do create turnovers just from little picks, little blocks, holding one of the main players for 1 second. And that's their job, and without good 0.5s, you do not have a good team.
That's right, we were watching it there as Braz, the 3.5, went over Andre De Castro, who has come out, and he was doing excellent screening work. So making sure that there was a pathway for his 3.5 to get through. Feitosa, I think, hoping for a held ball. It might have been an over and back, I think. I think he'd got the ball in his lap and was he was astride over the halfway line and was probably jiggled one way or the other. by a Canadian. So it's a turnover. Letourneau, with one of the big inbounds that he is capable of, finds Deblis. Deblis having to bounce it, and he's got a lot of attention there from a high pointer and a low pointer. So the low pointer doing the job there. Deblis manages to wriggle free. That was great work there by the three-pointer.
Yeah, he had a lot of pressure on him there, and he not only was he able to get that ball out safely, he got a bounce in as well, and did really well under that pressure.
Just over 2 minutes to go. The result not in any doubt anymore. It hasn't been any doubt, I'd say, from early in the second quarter onwards. Feitosa not taking a break. He's the Riley Band of this team. He likes to be out there all the time. Feitosa and Braz, so they've gone back to what served them so well to begin with, the high-low, and they've got quite a few low pointers out there. They started off with Couto and Diaz. Now they've got Ferreira out there as well. They can have Havana Cruz also, so that enables them to play a little bit extra since she's a female player. So her 0.5 is almost makes her a free player, a little bit like Emily Miller for the Australian Steelers, whom we will see in action. This is the bronze medal match, and then there's the gold medal match that will be later on in the afternoon. 2:15 Adelaide time, 2:45 East Coast time, so that'll be 12:45 West Coast time. The final, the match between the Australian Steelers and the Netherlands. 90 seconds to go. Deblis racking up the tries in the absence of Zach Medalla. It's maybe someone they could have relied on a little bit more. He doesn't tend to play much when Medalla's there, and he hasn't had a whole lot of game time, particularly today.
The standard Benoit sets, you could hear him yelling at his team instructions from the sideline, despite being